Welcome to the Backlot 605 podcast, episode 81. I am one of your hosts. I am Casey Kelderman. Join with me is my co-host, Brian Mensink. Brian, what's up?
It's going good. And yourself?
I'm doing good. We're showing up with our movie shirts today. We're ready to rock.
Yes, we are.
Yeah,
I didn't get to wear the one I wanted to get to wear, but I will take this as a good alternate.
close enough. It's a good shirt, though.
It is a great shirt, and it's super comfortable.
Well, that's good. Where did you get it from? Maybe we need to plug wherever you got it from.
I got it from the Chive.
Okay.
Chive actually partnered up with Broken Lizard and has a series of shirts that came out, including one that I really want to get that has Farvis' car ramrod on it. I saw that they actually just partnered up with Kevin Smith too, so we got a Jay and Silent Bob t-shirt that I really want to get as well.
Hey, and speaking of classic film duos, we're joined by a classic film duo with the Dakota Boys Talk Movies.
Wow,
Stephen and Dakotah. What a segue that was. Guys, how's it going?
It's going good, yeah. Dakota,
Just
5 years, is that considered classic?
I was gonna say, just because we're old, I guess that makes this a classic.
I decided I went classic. Had to support some Rocketeer here.
There you go.
Heck yeah.
Some Joe Johnston love. So
That was one of the first things I put on my list for Disney Plus when I got it. I'm like, I need to watch this.
yes, yeah.
I still need to watch it, but it's on my list.
Yeah, welcome to the world of streaming. It's on your
Mhm.
list for years, and maybe you'll get to it. So
Yep.
Yep. So, guys, guess what? We're going to continue our summer camp mini-series. We're going to be talking about Meatballs today, the Bill Murray comedy classic, I guess. I would say it's a stepping point for many comedic legends in this movie. And before we get to that, though, I want to talk to you guys really quickly about what you guys do, because you guys are also from South Dakota, and you do a movie podcast. That sounds very similar to us, and we are so glad that we can kind of finally get you guys on, and we can both share our love for movies because, man, I love seeing other people from South Dakota just sharing their love of movies like you guys do. So if you guys want to talk about your podcast a little bit and what you guys do on your show.
yeah, well, Dakota, what do we do on our show?
Immediately shove it off.
We gave it the broadest name we could because we realized that's what we do is hours on end since we met in college is talk about movies. I feel like I'm pretty sure, Dakota, didn't we meet at a Lord of the Rings marathon, like in college?
We did. It was one of the most epic moments you could, if you're a college student, because they had like TV set up where you could play the Two Towers video game.
Yeah.
I think that's where we started talking. I had to show you how to parry the tentacle, the monster, before you entered Casa Doom.
Yeah, and pretty much since then it's been that way. And then like 5 years ago, realized like, hey, we can use that as an excuse to hang out and just share our love and so yeah, we pretty much just talk about any sort of movies, which seems like kind of where you guys fit into that, where it's like, okay, we'll talk about this, we'll talk about that, maybe we'll talk about a new movie, and kind of let's go wherever we feel like going.
Yeah,
So
you guys really hit the broad spectrum of any type of movie, and I really dig it.
it's true. Yeah, I know. Dakota, don't you? Where's your soft spot? You're kind of a 70s guy, I feel like.
Oh, that's the thing. It's like I feel like my love of movies is just made up of niches. It's like you have like horror for the early slasher horror, and one kind of genre of movies that I've always felt has been overlooked is the post-apocalyptic movies. Not just Mad Max. There's other ones out there. I'd always wanted us to review A Boy and His Dog.
Oh yeah, we got to get to that.
One of the most insane movies ever made of all time. And it's like, I don't think they would ever make a movie like that today, even though apparently there are people clamoring for it. But you brought up Sleepaway Camp earlier. I always thought, that was such a trashy movie, but the ending was good. I was like, did not see that coming.
I can't agree with you that the ending was good. The ending was something.
It was an ending.
And I still think that those last two scenes, I think actually would have played better if they would have flipped those scenes. because you walk into the very last scene kind of knowing what's going to happen because of the previous scene with the aunt.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, I think even I've noticed, and we didn't really plan this with our summer camp miniseries, is that we're hitting like every genre of movies because we started with Heavyweights, which is a family movie.
Mm-hmm.
Went to Sleepaway Camp, which is the exact opposite.
Right.
Then we went more artsy last week with Moonrise Kingdom. Now we're hitting the 80s teen sex comedies with Meatballs, and yeah, I think we're hitting pretty much every subgenre that is available for summer camp movies, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing Wet Hot American Summer is somewhere coming up here.
That is next week. Saving the best for last, I think. I think
Yeah.
that's my favorite one.
I feel like when you look at, well, we'll probably get to that, but when you look at Meatballs, you can kind of see the skeleton of that is kind of in Wet Hot American Summer even. So you can tell he definitely played off of Meatballs
Mm-hmm.
as the main parody point, but
Yeah, that's going to be our main topic. But before that, we're gonna bring back the news. We haven't done movie news in a long time because
There hasn't been any.
there hasn't been any because there's been a global pandemic going on, I guess. So they
What?
don't. Yeah, did you guys know that?
I mean, here and
I
there,
thought-
I hear about it. But
Yeah.
I thought he just didn't want me to come over anymore.
Yeah, just kicked you out.
Aberdeen has always been in ruins, so it really hasn't changed Aberdeen much.
They're trying. They're trying.
You guys have always just been stuck in a Mad Max apocalyptic wasteland.
Only after 10 on Main Street. So
Hey, in the wintertime, we kick it up a notch. It's a frozen apocalyptic
Ooh.
wasteland.
Nice.
there you go.
All right, and then let's move on to this first piece of news because this will kind of tie into some of those post-apocalyptic wastelands or disaster movies because this is a new disaster movie coming from Mr. Roland Emmerich. This one is called Moonfall. They just announced the cast for this, including Josh Gad and Halle Berry.
Because you know when I think of award-winning movies that are in the pipeline, I put Halle Berry and Josh Gad in the same category.
With Roland Emmerich.
With
Definitely
Roland
same,
Emmerich.
definitely same category, and I think putting them together is pure alchemy right there. I mean, nothing but magic. So,
It sounds like the dartboard effect. They just started throwing things at the dartboard and see which one stuck.
oh man.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around how Josh Gad became famous. Like Jack Black, I could understand. The guy was pretty hilarious in School of Rock, but like all those kind of schlubby actors that try to be. What was the guy? He was in the last two Harry Potter verse movies. I always forget his name. I just think of him as a low rent Jack Black.
Isn't it Fogler? Dan Fogler?
Yeah.
Oh, Dan Fogler.
For the longest time, I thought him and Josh Gad were the same person until Frozen.
I can see that.
Not to get off topic, but I think Dan Fogler would have a completely different career right now had there was supposed to be a biopic for Sam Kinison that he was supposed to star as. And if you go on YouTube, you'll actually find the test footage they did, and he is spot on Sam Kinison. And I think that if that would have ever gotten made, he would have a completely different career right now.
Yeah.
See, I would only be on board with something like that if Oliver Stone was trying to get back into the groove he used to be in, or it was just mayhem, just balls to the walls mayhem being thrown at you.
And adds Dan Fogler to his little crew. This movie that we get here sounds like a Roland Emmerich movie. It's about a space crew that travels to the moon after it is struck by an asteroid and is sent on a collision course to Earth. So I'm like, that's just a Roland Emmerich. That's every Roland Emmerich movie.
Yes.
I think the standout is why is Halle Berry in this movie?
When's the last time she made a disaster movie?
Brian,
Catwoman?
you haven't seen Days took the joke. There you go. That's it.
Sorry.
I was gonna throw in X-Men Last Stand.
Well.
Wasn't
Yeah.
she in movie 43?
Oof. Yeah.
Oh,
Wait a minute, who wasn't in that movie?
Yeah.
Was Josh Gad in that movie?
No,
Are you sure?
no.
I watched about 2 segments of movie 43 and I gave up. Yeah, this movie. I don't know. Do you guys think you'll go check this out if we get to a point where you can watch it in the theaters? Who knows if that's going to happen? But again, it's in pre-production. What do you guys' overall thoughts on this movie? Brian, what about you? Does this seem like a movie Brian's going to go see in the theater?
Maybe. I guess I'd have to see how it kind of starts to pan out. Like, I've seen one of his movies in the theater, and that's it. So maybe.
I've honestly seen probably I don't know, a good handful of Emmerichs in theaters. I feel like with him I need to see a trailer because
Right.
Emmerich / Devlin Productions go all over the place. I don't feel like right now I'm not seeing much there that's really drawing me in. But you never know. You never know. Josh Gad might save the day.
Maybe this will be his movie that changes
This could be
everything.
his Die Hard. This you never know.
Yeah.
As long as it
Or
has
Halle
a musical
Berry's.
number.
Could be Halle Berry's Die Hard. Who knows? So.
Dakota, what about you? Is this something you're gonna rush out opening weekend to watch?
Oh, probably not. But I probably might see it anyway because I wasn't planning on seeing Brightburn at all. I'd actually gone to the movie theater to see X-Men: Dark Phoenix, and as soon as I got up to the counter, I just wussied out and I was like, "One to Brightburn, yeah, Brightburn."
I think you made the right choice.
Yeah.
So it could happen. I mean, if I have a friend who's like, "Hey, I'll pay for us if you want to go," it's like, all right.
How do you turn down a free ticket even if the movie's bad?
Right.
That's true.
I think that's how we saw Deepwater Horizon, Dakota, wasn't it? They gave us a free ticket. Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is, to use our classic.
Gravity
sorry.
for free. My bad.
No, this just reminds me of a classic thing we like to say on our show. Like, well, if I get a free rental on Redbox, maybe I'll give it a watch.
That's exactly what this movie seems like. If you're bored on a Friday night and someone gives you, you're with a bunch of friends and they're like, "Oh, what should we watch tonight? Oh, let's check out the new Emmerich movie." I'm not going to rush out to watch it, but if a group of guys get together and we want to watch it, sure, why not?
What's free on Prime today?
Yeah.
There you go. Next piece of news that we got here: the Tom Hanks World War II submarine drama Greyhound is going to skip theaters, which was planned for this fall, and is instead going to premiere on Apple TV. So I don't know about you guys. I wasn't planning on watching this one in the theater. It kind of looks like I don't want to say typical Tom Hanks fare because Tom Hanks he's America's dad. But he again, this movie just didn't stand out to me. I think he hit his peak in World War II movies already. So I don't know where we can go past Saving Private Ryan for him.
Well, I was going to say he's already done the World War II film. So you're almost going to walk into this with a certain expectation. So maybe this is to their advantage.
Mm-hmm. I think it gets all the dads to sign up for Apple TV.
Right. I feel like it's a good move on Apple TV's part. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This was one I was peripherally interested in just because I do like history stuff. I was aware of the book it's based on. And when I heard Hanks wrote this one, I was like, well, I'm kind of interested on is this dad's take? Dad's finally getting to make his movie maybe that he wanted to make in his older age.
That is a plausible line to the end right there that I can actually get behind.
Yeah, and so I kind of have been it's like this peripheral interest to it, and so maybe I'm one of those dads that might try Apple TV. We'll see.
My question is with all these different places that have been acquiring all these movies and going straight to VOD, is this the first one that Apple has done that too? Where are they just finally we're going to jump into the game and do this? Like Netflix has picked up a couple and, Disney Plus, moving stuff straight to streaming. I just wonder if maybe this is just Apple's way of saying, hey, you know what, we're here too.
I think it's a good play by them, though.
Yeah.
I think if they can pay, I think I can see a lot of other streaming services doing this, like taking movies that people probably weren't going to rush out to see or weren't going to break the bank at the box office, and seeing them like take a risk on and making an Apple exclusive or a Hulu exclusive, what have you. And I see a lot more places trying to do this.
The one thing you said though is that you don't see a lot of people going out to go see this. You don't think it, it may not necessarily have the same fares like Saving Private Ryan, but you have those people that are, especially the older crowd. It's a war movie. It's a Tom Hanks movie.
I think that's a great combo. Yeah.
I bet this would have easily taken a top-notch spot if it would have released, during a normal season.
It's funny you bring that up because there actually is precedence of that happening. I don't think an American Sniper would have been as big as it was because it seemed like a movie not a lot of, say, like 16 to 23-year-olds were kind of rushing out to see. But I went to see it twice, and both times, like, the theater was half full, and it was people like 50s, 60s-year-olds, and it was like, wow, this movie really has some traction. And this was like a month after it came out, even. It was the second time around when I saw it, and it was still half full.
I think you nailed it on the head, Casey. I think this is Apple's play to get people to sign up for Apple TV. I think that's exactly what it is, because I think they're going to get that entire demographic of the older generation that does not currently have it to get it to sign up so that they can get this movie out there.
Yeah, I think I think it's just a big get for Apple TV, and I don't think it'll be the last time we hear of a I don't know. I wouldn't say this is a tentpole movie, but kind of the second tier movies that people are going to go check out to see in the theaters. And I see a lot of these ending up on streaming that were supposed to come out here this year and early next year. I see a lot of this happening. This next piece of news is an interesting one. David Robert Mitchell, who is the director of It Follows and Under the Silver Lake, is set to direct an original superhero movie about heroes and villains. Is the synopsis that he gave out for it. And yeah, basically he said, the only way I can get a movie made right now is if it has superheroes in it. And I'm like, that's probably true. I'm excited to see what this guy can do with a original superhero movie. I'm very interested to see his take on what heroes and villains are in whatever world he would create.
Yeah, what's tricky about this is when superhero movies are big right now, and this can so easily fall into satire, and maybe that's where he's going, because you could argue that It Follows is satire in a sense. And so maybe that's what he's going to do. But yeah, it is kind of an interesting, I have to see where this goes, I guess. Dakota, I know you're a big It Follows fan.
Well, just because I am doesn't mean I'm a huge fan of this guy's work. Oh, man. It's, being a huge comic book fan, I could actually say this. It seems like just because there have been a lot of comic book movies that have come out, there's so many different facets that they haven't even touched on. It just honestly seems like we've seen more kind of the beginning of superhero movies than we really have like them actually existing in their own life. That's why I kind of feel like we got cheated out of a good Ben Affleck Batman movie. It's like we never actually got to see him in his prime doing his thing. But yeah, I might low key keep track of this on the radar just to see where it goes, but I'm not like already marking it on the calendar for when it comes out.
Got it all circled on the calendar, little capes around it.
He's gonna hide that calendar behind himself. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm pretty excited for this because I still haven't watched Under the Silver Lake. I heard it's terrible, but but I've heard it's a wild ride nonetheless, which I'm all right with. As long as the movie is not boring, that's fine with me. And yes, It Follows is one of my favorite movies of the last 10 years. my favorite horror movie of the last maybe 20 years. Yeah, I'm excited to see what this guy can do with an original superhero or whatever he wants to do with it. I'm sure he'll call it a superhero movie, and it'll end up being something very, very different, just so he can sell it as that. So I'm excited for it. I like seeing original takes on superheroes. Like Chronicle was, I think, is one of the best like superhero, superpowered movies that we've gotten in a while, and I would like to see more studios and more filmmakers take on that type of direction for these movies.
I think their hesitation is that whether or not if it's a property that people will recognize to the masses that is going to make it worthwhile. Because I think of ones like Hancock, where with some people it's a very hit and miss kind of movie, but it's just because it's a superhero type movie, but it's not of any sort of like known franchise or anything like that. So some people just don't know how to take it. So if you're going into this here with an unknown property or an original property, you might not get the same kind of effect as you would with something that somebody knows.
Yeah, right. I think the one movie we brought up earlier was Brightburn.
Right.
I could see this doing those type of numbers because I'm expecting that type of budget for it. Maybe even a little, probably less than the Brightburn budget was, but that's where I would expect the demographic to be. Just where people the general audiences may not recognize that this isn't based on an IP already, and they'll just recognize it as a superhero movie, and they'll just go on that merit alone.
Yeah, it's kind of really about how you sell your movie too. I mean, that makes or breaks you nearly every time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Brightburn sold their movie where you knew, in a sense, what you were walking into. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, this is kind of the anti-Man of Steel. And you were kind of willing to go on the ride from there. Whereas Hancock, I feel like I went in and I'm like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. It just kind of changes trajectory. And I think it really hurt Hancock, from just because they sold it as one thing and it felt like a very different thing. So it wasn't as comedic as you thought it was going to be, those type of things. But so who knows?
Yeah, well, I think we'll keep updating you on the podcast here on the status of this movie as it keeps progressing. I know it's in the very early stages of pre-production. So the last piece of news that we got here, and this is the big one for the week.
Are you sure cut. It's the big one?
This is the big one. The big deuce. The Snyder Cut is happening. So the Snyder Cut of Justice League will be coming to HBO's streaming service in 2021, and they're talking about either a 4-hour cut of the movie or hour-long mini episodes of this new Snyder Cut.
I heard it possibly being a 6-episode miniseries.
Yeah, sure. I don't know about you guys, but I don't care about this. I could care less. It proves that the internet was clamoring for something that did not exist already, because Warner Brothers is now throwing in $20 to $40 million just to finish it. So therefore, it was not done in the first place. It never existed. Yeah, I'm not going to sign up for HBO. What is it? HBO Now is their streaming service?
HBO Max.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not going to sign up for it just because the Snyder Cut is on it. The movie is terrible. Let's leave it at that. Let's move on.
You'll sign up for it for something else.
Maybe.
I mean, it kind of makes sense that this would happen. The throwing in that much money. Yeah, I was like, okay, this didn't exist, but they refused to say it. And so, yeah, that was interesting to kind of have that come out. I was like, oh, they got to make this work now. Yeah. And so, I don't know. Yeah, Justice League, I think they got so many good things going for them, DC, that they should have just let this go, and just wait. I don't know. I'm not really interested either at this point. Their individual stuff is so good right now. They're probably better off sticking with that.
Well, see, that's half the problem, right? Though Warner Brothers doesn't understand how to work the formula properly. their approach to this entire thing was completely botched in the first place, you know. And then, like you said, with the sake of like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Shazam, they take place in the same universe, but that's not like they're shoving it down your throat like what they were trying to do. And I think it was just more of Warner Brothers going, do we have some extra money in reserve that we can just shut the fans up so we can move on?
It's actually kind of been leaked right now that supposedly AT&T, since they own Warner Brothers now, unfortunately, they're the ones that wanted this kind of put out there just to generate buzz for HBO Max, because, I mean, it's coming out, and, you know, there's a lot of talk of, oh, well, they don't really have much out there that people are excited for. They're working on a Green Lantern TV show or something. But I don't think anyone's really too stoked for anything Green Lantern related coming to any screen anytime soon. So yeah, I think it was just kind of put it out there to create buzz. Do I think it's gonna make the movie better, or are we gonna get some great cut? No, but yeah, for better or for worse, it's coming at us.
Yeah, I again, I think it was all. HBO was like, we need something on our streaming service. What is the biggest thing on the internet? The Snyder Cut has always been, that's been the talk of Hollywood for the last 3 years now. 2017 is when Justice League came out. Yeah, it makes sense for them because there has been so many fans clamoring for it, and all the actors that have been as well. And that leads me to wonder, are they going to be doing some reshoots to this? I know they've done reshoots already or finished it, you know, with the Josh Whedon version that we got in theaters, but are we going to get Ben Affleck suiting up again to do a reshoot for this movie, or Henry Cavill coming back as Superman, even though he said he's done?
We got to fix that mustache. That's where 20 million is going. It's going back to the mustache.
In.
Ben Affleck did post something on Twitter that said he was coming back, but it's like, what does that really mean?
Like he was all in or something, yeah. Which I guess was the tagline. But
if I remember correctly from the original story, like the ending is completely different, where we get Darkseid and everything like that. So I can imagine a lot of that is not even going to necessarily need them. That's just going to be all post and, you know, CGI work. So they, you know, maybe a lot of the stuff what involves the actual actors is already done. It's just, it was never cut into the theatrical cut of the movie.
Yeah,
that could be. And this was supposed to be like, Justice League was planned as a two-parter, and it's not really set up as a two-parter in the theatrical version. So maybe this is all a big ploy to say, hey, guess what? This cut is a little better. Then we'll do Justice League Part 2.
You have a lot of high hopes there, Casey.
I don't have
What's
any
interesting
hopes.
about that dollar amount they kind of threw on there is Zack Snyder's version of Steppenwolf didn't look anything like how he eventually was in the movie. I don't know if you guys remember the end of Batman vs. Superman, where you saw that was supposed to be kind of like a precursor of what he looked like. So he was supposed to look a lot more demonic and chunkier.
And not like a bad PS2 cutscene.
Yeah, that crazy elongated body he had.
I will say, ironically enough, I know exactly what you're talking about because I actually just finished that earlier this morning.
Batman versus Superman?
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep. Was it the extended?
Yes. Yep. No,
you watched the extended one?
Yeah.
Is it? I have not watched it. I don't really have plans to watch it. Is it actually better?
Here's the part, and here's why I can't answer that question. It's been such a long time since I've seen the theatrical cut. I don't remember the difference, because when I purchased it on iTunes, it's the extended cut, the Ultimate Edition and whatnot, and then the theatrical is the bonus feature. So I've never gone back to rewatch the theatrical. But no, yesterday I started watching Harley Quinn, so I've kind of been making my way through the DCEU, and right now I'm working on Justice League as we speak, and I'm like, as you mentioned that, yeah, Steppenwolf looks a little rough right now, period. Like, the guy who voices Steppenwolf is already kind of got the evil villain look of a face in the first place, To the point where it's like, why would you CGI and just put him in the helmet? He would have looked better.
Yeah, wasn't it Syrian Hines?
I think
Which
so.
he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, he's a classic. He's a British guy. They're like, we need a bad guy,
Yeah.
but we don't have a lot to pay. We'll get Syrian Hines.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, just looking at him, he just looks villainous in the first
Yeah.
place. And it's like, put some CGI makeup on him, or even practical effect would probably looked 10 times better than what we got.
All right, I think we've exhausted the Snyder Cut as much as the internet has. So
No, they haven't.
Let's move on to the next segment that we got here. This is our coming soon segment. So we're going to be talking very briefly. We'll bring up 3 movies that are coming out this upcoming week. And if you want to check out the full list of what's coming soon, go to our website, backlot605.com, and check out our coming soon article. That'll have a whole list of everything coming out this upcoming week. But the 3 movies of note that are coming soon is The High Note, which is coming straight to VOD. Stars Dakota Johnson and Ice Cube. The other one is The Vast of Night, which is an Amazon Prime exclusive movie. And then the last one, Confessional, which is a Shudder exclusive film. Did any of these movies catch your eye as something you guys are going to be checking out here in the next week or so once they hit streaming?
Maybe the first one. And I say,
did you watch the trailer though?
Huh?
Did you watch the trailer?
I've seen bits and pieces of it. I just know that Tracy Ellis Ross and Dakota Johnson were in it, and it did throw me off a little bit to see Ice Cube in there because he just likes to pop up every so often.
Yeah, that movie doesn't look good.
Yeah.
It looks like I think it'll be pretty popular because it has some faces and some names in it, and it looks like an uplifting type of movie, and I think it'll do well on VOD.
It's weird though because the whole time it's like I feel like I've seen this movie. Every once in a while there's that trailer where you're like, I feel like this movie already came out.
Did they call it Dream Girls?
What's that?
I said, did they call it Dream Girls?
Yeah, they call it Dream Girls or Music and Lyrics or something. Yeah, the one that stuck out to me was The Vast of Night, just because I liked the Outer Limits, and it really felt like it had that Outer Limits feel, where it's like that just kind of creepy on it. It's just a matter of I don't know. You never know with Prime. Some of their stuff looks unfortunately cheap, and then other things that get really well done, and so who knows.
Yeah, I think they picked this one up, so it's not something they were working on from the beginning. So I think that bodes a little better for the movie. The trailer looks really good. Looks like a Twilight Zone-esque like 50s sci-fi thriller. I think it looks like a fun ride. The other 2 don't stand out to me very much.
Even the Shudder movie doesn't stand out to you, Mr. You live in Shudder?
I live in Shudderland. It doesn't do a whole lot for me. It's basically about these kids that are all set inside this confessional booth, and that's the entire setting. I'm like, I don't know if I can sit through an hour and a half of that. It's quite a bit.
I figured you were going to be praising this because it was a Shudder movie and it was on the list. I'm like, he must really want to see this one.
No, the one I'm going to check out is The Vast of Night. That one looks terrific.
So this doesn't have a Ryan Reynolds buried where you can watch him in a box for an hour and a half and be okay with the movie.
No. Kind of reminds me of Unfriended, which I thought was fun, but I don't know if I can do that with again, I got to have characters I like. Just from the minute and a half trailer, I'm like, I don't like any.
You don't like anybody
for an hour and a half.
Yeah, it seems less fun than Unfriended.
Yeah. And again, like the box, I would like to hang out with Ryan Reynolds for an hour and a half. He seems like a fun guy.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Even if he's dying in a box. Dakota, what about you? Do any of these catch your eye as something you wanna check out right away?
I don't know. They all kind of seem just really bland. I don't know. I'm more of one of those guys that just kind of eventually will see something based on word of mouth. So trailers and like people talking about stuff doesn't really do much for me. But Shudder has been making some good stuff. probably check that. I'll probably see that one eventually, but not as soon as it's out.
Yeah, that's again, that is our coming soon. Go check out the full article out now. And then the next thing that we got here is stuff that if we've watched anything recently that's been new, that's come out in the last month or so. And since we are talking about Shudder, the last thing I watched from them was a movie called Blood Machines, which just dropped. It's a 50-minute short film, but it's broken up into 3 segments that are about 10 to 15 minutes long. Yeah, this movie is a wild ride. It's described as like a hypnotic space opera, and the reason to watch it is that it's like a 50-minute long music video, and it's a ton of fun to watch. There's not really a story to it too much, but it's a movie where you crank up the volume on your TV and your speakers, and you just look at the visuals with the synth score going behind it.
Sounds like the wall.
Is it a rock opera?
No, that would have been fun though. It's like a straight up like synth music score, and the score is incredible. Reminds me of like John Carpenter scores of the 80s. And yeah, this movie is if you're into that type of movie where you're just pretty much checking it out for an awesome score, this is a must see. But yeah, what about you guys? Anything you guys watched in the last like month or so that's new that you'd recommend or throw out as something to check out?
I haven't watched anything new other than the Meatballs would be the first time I've seen that. So that's no, I have not had a chance to watch anything.
Well, I've rewatched Underwater, but I saw that like in theaters when it was here, and The Way Back, which was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I've been hearing good things about both of those. I need to check them out. They're both on VOD right now to rent. So I might have to do that yet.
Well, the easy one for me would be Extraction. I watched that one, and that's a pretty easy one to recommend if you like action movies. It's pretty straightforward. Fun to see Hemsworth. It was more brutal than I thought it was going to be, but it kind of worked in the world it had.
It's good to see Hemsworth not be Thor for once.
Yeah, I think that was almost one of the more refreshing things. Was like, okay, he can do other things. Like, yeah, he's kind of done that a little bit, but nothing real of note. But that one I would say is kind of a fun watch. Meatballs was first time for me too, watching that.
So let's segue into that. Meatballs is our topic of the week. 1979, directed by Ivan Reitman, stars Bill Murray. This is kind of the catalyst of all summer camp movies after this, because this is really one of the first of its kind, having like a teenage summer camp movie, and the 80s was thus then filled with it and then parodied, as we'll talk about with Wet Hot American Summer. And yeah, Meatballs 1979. So you guys, Brian and Stephen, you said this is the first time you guys have watched this movie. Mm-hmm. Dakota, what about you? Have you watched Meatballs before?
Yeah, it was kind of one of those movies back when I was like 13, something like that. It's like stuff me and my friend used to like watching. I've even seen the 2 of the sequels that they made to it. And yes, they are pretty bad.
Yeah, I have heard of the sequels. I have not dared check them out. I know the second one has an alien in it.
That's all I know about the second one too. Is there's an alien.
Yep, yeah, that's all I know.
And then Corey Feldman's in another one.
The third one I think would be fun to watch if you're experimenting with drugs. I think, because I don't know what was going on, but
they're just like, how can we make a summer camp movie, put meatballs on it so we can make some money off of this property that everybody seems to love?
Yeah. You would think an alien from outer space would be as far-fetched as you go. No, this the third one has this porn actress dies, And to get into heaven, she's sent down to earth to help this kid just kind of be cool. And I'm like, this is the weakest.
What?
Yes, you heard that right. This is the weakest film plot I think I've ever heard in my whole life.
And Casey's sitting there going, all right, got to put that on my watch list.
Yeah, isn't like Patrick Dempsey in that one?
Yeah, and then the actress who plays the porn, I can't remember her name, but she was kind of famous at the time. She was in Back to School. She played the woman that Rodney Dangerfield was in love with. Kind of drawing a blank on what her name was.
That's one of those movies where you're
Shannon
like,
Tweed?
No. She was also in MASH too. She was the nurse, Hot Lips. Anyone? The movie, not the TV show.
Is it Sally Kellerman?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you beat me to it.
Yeah, I have no plans in watching the sequels, but this is my second time watching Meatballs. The first time I watched it was, I don't know, probably 5-6 years ago, and I remember having a good time with it, and I remember the biggest thing that stood out to me was, of course, Mr. Bill Murray, but also his relationship with the young kid in this movie. That was the thing that stuck out to me the most. And then let's go into this time watching it, because we have two people that have never seen the movie before, and I kind of want to get your guys' overall thoughts on your first time watching Meatballs.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, for me, it was an enjoyable movie, but I think I grew up with the idea. You made reference of this being kind of the catalyst for like the teen sex camp movies that would come after this and whatnot, and that's how it was always kind of like said to me, is that's the kind of movie it was. And I really didn't see it. I mean, that element was there, but it wasn't as over the top as I expected it to be, especially when you're talking about the late 70s, early 80s timeframe, which this came out. I was expecting something maybe even a little bit more over the top, especially with it being a Bill Murray movie.
yeah, I feel like, Bill Murray's obviously the easy standout in this when you're watching it. And what I feel like is we're seeing rough around the edges Murray, that I feel like he kind of got smoothed out by Ghostbusters. And it was because it was like, he tried a lot in this movie, and I feel like you could almost just be like, well, we couldn't get John Belushi, but we got Bill Murray, because it feels like you could put John Belushi into this movie and play that role, but it would just look a little different. But yeah, I just, all I knew about this movie was the rich camp, poor camp rivalry, and I didn't realize that's like only like the last half hour of the movie. And so I was like, I thought there was like a big competition thing. And so I kept waiting for that. But yeah, it was that classic, like, just dirty looking 80s movie where it just feels dirty in kind of I don't know, not in a bad way. It just kind of has that rough, dirty feel to everything.
Yeah, the low budget vibe, they're flying by the seat of their pants, shooting the movie. And from what I understand, they shot this at a summer camp while summer camp was going on. So I think that's kind of shows in the movie a little bit that there is some stuff that it's like they probably just set up a camera when people were just doing stuff around camp.
Yeah, wasn't it filmed in like Ontario or something? Like, during a camp. Oh man.
This is on my second time watching it again. The first time I watched it was presented as this is a teen sex comedy set at a summer camp with Bill Murray. And again, it's not really that movie, but yet it is. It's not very raunchy as some of the other 80s teen sex comedies go, but it has that type of humor still in it. There's the scene with the two nerdy guys that are hiding under the girls' cabin, listening to them talk gossip. I'm like, that's a classic teen sex comedy scene. But then there's also the scene with Bill Murray and the kid, which is like really like heartwarming and touching, but it doesn't feel like it fits with the rest of the movie. I really feel like the movie is kind of like butting heads with what it's trying to do.
It definitely does feel like it's two movies in one.
Yeah.
One trying to be the kind of the raunchy, funny movie, and the other one kind of being the family, wholesome kind of movie.
Well, even with the theme song, it feels like a family movie theme song. The like, "Are you ready for the summer?" song. I'm like, this doesn't really fit in a teen sex comedy. It fits in a family movie, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think either one's bad though. I think they just don't fit together in a single movie. But I think the separated scenes work quite well. Bill Murray again, he's the standout. I think the movie is kind of boring when he is not on screen. I think he is the best part, and whenever his scenes are there, your eyes are glued to the screen.
Yeah, part of me wonders if it did start more camper oriented, because it's just like you spend more time with the counselors in training, which is where the more sex comedy stuff comes in, I guess. And it was like, God, this spaz guy, he's almost like a new Jerry Lewis. We got to get more with him or something. And most of his stuff was like, this isn't quite working in the way I think you think it is.
And
that's
playing
kind of
like
how I felt.
the prototypical 80s nerd with tape on his
Yeah.
glasses and doesn't know how to play basketball. I'm like, come on. Like, I get what you're going for, but
That was like the go-to though at that time
Yeah.
frame though. That was synonymous of, you always had to have the nerdy guy in there. Of course, you had to have the busted up glasses and whatnot. I mean, that was just pretty much Nerd 101 from back in the day.
Yeah, and they went all the way there too, because when his dad comes, he's got the taped glasses and he's just hitting other cars, and it's like, well, they went there all the way.
And always has the fat sidekick. I'm like, yeah, it all fits.
Yeah.
Though I did find amusement in that same scene you were talking about when they're underneath the lodge, and he gets stuck and they depants him.
Well, that's a good scene, especially with what happens after. Is Bill Murray's little voiceover on the camp speakers, where he's like, "There's a fat pair of pants hanging on the flagpole." Like there's the punchline. That joke works very well. But apparently, Bill Murray was classic Bill Murray when they were trying to make this movie. They shot 2 days, and they had not signed Bill Murray onto the movie. And then just randomly one day he shows up and says, "Let's do it." And so a lot of his scene, like the first scene he shows up is like where he's wearing the Hawaiian shirt and the red like short shorts, like doing introductions to people. That's just what he wore to set, and they're finally like, "Well, Bill's here. Let's just shoot the movie. Let's just get going." And
It looks like he fits in.
Yeah. And a lot of Bill Murray stuff does not feel like it is scripted. It just feels like them saying, "Bill, this is where you need to get in this scene. Point A to point B. Go. Do your thing." Which he can do. I mean, Bill Murray is one of the best ever to do that, and it works really well. I love his little speech about the rival camp in the beginning of the movie, and and trying to explain why it costs like, what was it, $1,000 a week?
Oh my God.
And all the things that they do at the camp. Like, that's just classic Bill Murray.
I like how he gets into the prostitutes, and the guy interviewing him doesn't even flinch. Well,
Yeah.
that makes total sense. That explains why it's $1,000 per week. Because there's this big, huge sex competition at the end. That makes total sense.
Yeah, I was like, how is the news guy was so chill about that. Like, really? What?
The news guy is probably like, dude, I grew up through the 60s. That's nothing.
Yeah, that scene kind of reminded me of another like 80s guy in that trio, or in that little group of the 80s comedies, with John Landis. His first movie, Schlock, which, Brian, I know you've watched with me. There's a newscaster in that where he is doing the exact same thing, and he's like interviewing the gorilla, and he's so deadpan about it and not noticing that he's a gorilla. And I'm like, maybe that was just a staple of the times to have an oblivious newscaster.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, I think, again, we briefly mentioned it. There's a lot of things that other camp movies and comedies took from this movie, because this is, late 70s. We're just going to get into the big 80s comedy just like the juggernaut of comedy movies then with Bill Murray and Ivan Reitman directing a lot of them too. A lot of the staples are set up in this movie, especially like all the stereotypes are in this movie. Everything that Wet Hot American Summer plays off of is set up in this movie. And I think even one movie we talked about, the first movie we talked about in our miniseries was Heavyweights. I think that movie took quite a bit from this as well, especially with the poor camp versus rich camp little aspect of the movie.
Definitely. I can certainly see that. And then maybe even a little bit of the whole, throwing character with Ben Stiller, kind of looking at Bill Murray as kind of an inspiration. Where can I kind of ride that line between, having fun with it and just going over the top with it?
Yeah. The funny thing about Bill Murray is like, he's one of those actors where you're like, is he trying really hard to not care this much? Or is he just naturally that? I mean, is that just completely natural where he doesn't have to? Because to be as uncaring as he is in movies, you'd have to try so hard unless it was just like a natural thing. And I think with him, it must just be natural. Because it seems like that's just how he is in any interview outside of movies too. And it's kind of amazing. Like his "It Just Doesn't Matter" speech near the end. I wouldn't be surprised if he just improvised that and he just got that "It Just Doesn't Matter" chant going, because that's like his theme.
That is exactly what happened with the movie, because him and Reitman got together like, we need a rally speech at the end of this movie, and they're trying to figure it out. And finally Bill in their meeting is like, it just doesn't matter. Like, why are we doing this? It just doesn't matter. And Reitman's like, just say that then. And that's where the speech came up. Bill Murray did it on the spot, and that was the take they use in the movie.
Yeah, that scene, I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. Just him getting them rallied up by just chanting nihilistic thoughts, basically.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And again, I think I love Bill Murray in this movie, because he is this is one of the most Bill Murray movies and performances he's ever done, because he's literally just Bill Murray as a summer camp counselor, which is fun. Even all the interactions he has with his girlfriend, I'm like, it's probably how Bill Murray acts with women.
I hope not. I'm pretty sure he is.
It's a little
he
weird.
Assaulted her.
It is a little weird.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there would have been laws that had been put in place because of him.
He would have been sued.
Yeah, that scene, I was like, oh. It was getting a little awkward.
Definitely late 70s there. Do you guys have any other scenes that really stick out to you? I mean, I don't know about everybody else. I think the "Just Doesn't Matter" speech is probably my favorite scene in this movie.
Oh, yeah. Just the way he goes off on that. I mean, I don't think you can top, in this particular movie, I don't think there's any way you can top that speech at the end.
Yeah, I've worked as camps as a counselor, and then I've been a little higher up where I've kind of been in charge of things at camps too. And I feel like they're very accurate with the counselors in this movie. Like, especially like come on, when Rudy, wasn't that the name of the kid that Bill Murray takes under his wing? When they're just like, he sucks, man. And the counselor's like, yeah, I know. I'm just like, it's so harsh for a counselor to say, and yet those are the kind of counselors you kind of end up getting something like, yeah, I know, he sucks, but come on, guys, we gotta
so be harsh. Nice to him.
Yeah, another scene that really sticks out to me is the scene, I think it's supposed to be at like a bus station or something with Bill Murray and the kid Rudy. It's clearly at a diner, but it's supposed to be a bus station, I think, where the kid is saying he's gonna leave, and then just Bill Murray does his Bill Murray thing and puts on his charm, and this little like 12-year-old kid. I'm like, as a 12-year-old kid, yeah, I would see this guy as like my mentor and the coolest guy ever, and I would want to be him one day. Not a great influence, but I mean, you're at that point where you have no friends and your parents just kind of send you there to get rid of you for the summer. I would see how you connect with someone like Bill Murray.
And especially when he gets into the whole Swiss Army knife thing and what he's going to do with the Swiss Army knife. Just looking and watching
him by his collar.
when he's got the toothpick in between his teeth and whatnot.
Oh yeah, he gets into like they're gonna use his knife to like murder someone the way the Swiss do or something.
Yeah, because he's gonna take this corkscrew and get into his windpipe.
And then get scripted, just Bill Murray doing his thing.
Yep.
One of the things I noticed was there's a lot of beautiful hair in this movie, and it's the guys. Like
there is some serious perm action going on in this movie.
Yeah, just perms and fluff, and oh man, yeah, the guys were really showing up the girls with the hair in this time.
Welcome to the 70s.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys. Would you recommend this movie? That is probably the biggest question. And how would you recommend it? Would you tell someone going into it, like, hey, like most of us were told, it's a teen sex comedy set at a summer camp? How would you guys describe it to someone if you were to recommend it?
I don't know how I would describe it, other than the fact that it's an early Bill Murray movie at a summer camp. I think it'd probably be the easier way to kind of try to sell that thing, because there are those instances where it doesn't know exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to describe that and somebody go into that movie going, well, this isn't what I thought, or this isn't what I thought, and just be like, nope, that is totally a Bill Murray movie. It's all Bill Murray.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to describe it. I would say just it's Bill Murray at a summer camp. That's the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of right in that pocket where this is definitely not a PG movie, even though that's what it's rated.
Yep.
Which that was just that funny year of how many things were PG, and so yeah,
it's because PG-13 didn't exist when this came out.
Right. Yeah. Spielberg kind of brought that to be with what, like Temple of Doom or something.
Yep.
And yeah, it's kind of one of those where it's like, it's got a lot of fun elements, but yeah, you'd have to, like, watching this now for the first time, I think because I didn't have the nostalgia, I just noticed how it just was maybe problematic in spots, or we're just kind of like all over the place in a way. And it's probably just because I don't have the rose-colored glasses.
Mm-hmm.
But there is like, obviously if you're a Bill Murray fan, you've probably seen this, but I do think you see a comedian who's going to go on to be a movie star.
Oh yeah.
You definitely see that in this. Dakota, this is where you shine. You're better at, do you recommend this movie?
Oh man, I don't even know who would really want to see this movie, to be honest with you. I think that's the kind of hard part about recommending it. Maybe you kind of have to lean towards the Ivan Reitman fans and the Bill Murray fans.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, hey, you want to see them work their magic when they were younger? You got to check this out.
Yeah.
In a related note, though, I remember there being like so much innuendo in this, like more than there is, and like just nudity.
I know, that's just it. I always remember that it was a lot raunchier than what I experienced. That's just how, you always thought of as as a kid, you didn't watch Meatballs because it was the movie that was not meant for kids. And yeah, it's got a little bit in there, but it's not a bad movie at all. At least not by today's standards, anyway.
Yeah, it definitely ends up getting grouped with Porky's probably more
Mm-hmm.
than it actually is like Porky's. Yeah. When did Porky's come out? After this? It must have.
That was 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's probably early 80s or something. Because there was like, 10 of those?
Yeah. 1981 was Porky's.
Okay, so a couple of years later.
Yeah. And again, I think for me to recommend this movie, I would go in to say, if you haven't seen this movie and you're a Bill Murray fan, I think this is probably a must-watch, because you do, like Stephen said, you get to see the start of Bill Murray and where he gets to be in the 80s, where he really shines. And again, for Ivan Reitman, this is the first real straight comedy he gets to do, and you definitely get to see where he gets to go on later with like Stripes and Ghostbusters, and yeah, I think that's how you push the movie. And again, if you haven't watched it and you're a fan of both of those guys, I think that's really what would push you to watch this movie. And again, it's very much an early version of the teen sex comedy, even though it is not fully that. So if you're a fan of those and you hadn't watched Meatballs, I would say this is a good start, but just go in knowing you're not going to get the sexual innuendos, you're not going to get the nudity, the panty raids, any of that stuff.
And yet at the same time, you're going, they know there's kids here, right?
An entire lodge full of 6-year-olds.
Yeah, I think the youngest are like 6.
Yeah.
Well, that was back then when the big thing was children should be seen and not heard. So they probably didn't care too much about them, really being around.
Yeah, this definitely is not a summer camp I'd be sending my 6-year-old to. That's for sure.
Well, like I said, that's the tricky part about camp is trying to weed out the self-absorbed teenagers to be your counselors. They're only there for one thing, man. What's the fat guy always say? She wants it. Like, oh my gosh.
Oh,
Dude, she's staring at you. Your fly's down.
Yeah.
And I do like it at the very beginning of that part where he literally spends the rest of the scene even walking off trying to fix his zipper that he can't seem to get up.
Yeah. Yeah. That guy, and again, that feels like it was like a Jerry Lewis move or something where it's like, I don't get the zipper in or something, Yeah, the Jerry Lewis, Bob Hope type comedy. Yeah.
At least they support his character as opposed to just making him the running joke. I mean, yeah, he's the nerd, but at the same time too, it's not like they're just trying to, make him the resident virgin or anything like that. Like they're actually like supporting him throughout this movie kind of thing. Like he's not the nerd outcast.
Yeah. Well, even Bill Murray could have easily been mean in this movie.
Yep.
And I feel like he never went mean-spirited. Like if like
to any of them.
Yeah, like because Jim Carrey in a role like this, he can easily go kind of mean in his movies.
Even Bill Murray in other movies could go that.
Yeah,
that
it's
level,
true.
too. Yeah, and one thing even like during the basketball scene in this movie, like the fat guy at camp is the guy that scores for the team, and they all start cheering for him, like he was the hero of the game. So I'm like, that's at least they're breaking some of the molds that were not yet even set up.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any other final thoughts on Meatballs?
I'd say it'd be worth, telling people that they should watch it and whatnot, but just go into that movie knowing that it's a Bill Murray movie more than anything.
Yeah. I would say if you're gonna have a movie night, throw on Meatballs and do Stripes right after. That would be a good double feature, and I think Stripes is a more refined version of Meatballs, both in directing and acting from Bill Murray. So
yeah, that's definitely a little more. He's sanded down a little more smooth than he was in this.
Yep. He's not completely off the leash in Stripes.
No.
All right. So yes, that was Meatballs. That is available right now. I watched it on Tubi TV. I don't know about you guys where you guys watched it, but I watched it on Prime, so I didn't have to worry about the commercials. There you go.
Yeah, I watched it on Vudu, so there were commercials. But it was free like everywhere.
Yeah. So no excuses to not watch Meatballs if you're interested. Free pretty much everywhere. So go check it out. Let's wrap this thing up. The first thing I want to throw it to let's throw it to Stephen and Dakota. Where can they get our listeners find your podcast and everything that you guys do on Dakota Boys Talk Movies?
Yeah, we have Facebook, and that's probably where we post the most. I would say we just try to share stupid movie memes quite often, and then we just kind of use that as a way to tell people when the new episodes are coming up. But you can subscribe to us pretty much anywhere, wherever you listen to podcasts, and we have a YouTube channel. So yeah, we try to make ourselves easy to find, and so yeah, we hope you do. We, like I said, we talk about anything, new, old, everything in between. What's the oldest movie we talked about, Dakota? I've gone back to the 30s and 40s. I don't know if we've delved in silent film yet, but
I think
like you need to get there.
Most recently, we kind of talked about Gone with the Wind, and like very briefly Cleopatra.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. We'll bring up anything on our show, and yeah, we just want people to share our love of movies is all we're really trying to do. And so it's kind of where we're at. So,
yeah, if you have like 5 hours to spare, we talk about our top 100 movies, or as in Stephen's case, his top 25 Christmas movies.
Yeah, you won't get off my back about that. It was an accident. I didn't realize how many Christmas movies ended up on my top 100. So yeah.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. It was like for every Christmas movie, there were 7 regular movies, but
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so we just have a lot of fun. So yeah, and it's fun being on this, talking about meatballs with you guys and movie news, because movie news is fun to talk about too.
Yes,
almost as much as movies.
We're definitely gonna have you back. We're working on our next couple of mini series that we're working on. So maybe we'll work out something for the next couple months and get you guys back on soon.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Yeah, I've been enjoying listening to you guys' show, and the last episode I believe you did was on movies from 1990, and it was fun to hear you guys just geek out about Ninja Turtles and Gremlins 2.
We talked about those for an obscene amount of time.
Yes, I think that those are the two standouts from that year. They're perfect
yeah,
movies.
Home Alone came out that year. Whatever. Do you guys know about Gremlins 2?
Yeah, everyone has seen Home Alone, man.
If they haven't seen Gremlins 2, they're wrong.
It's a masterpiece.
Yeah, pretty soon here, we're gonna put out we talk about the year 2000, go back 20 years now, and I'll warn you, we were kind of depressed by the end. That was after 99. That was kind of a letdown year.
Yeah, after maybe the greatest movie year ever, 1999. I don't know how you follow it up with 2000.
Definitely one of them.
Yeah.
I think the movie we talked most about for the 2000 was Titan AE. I think is the one we spent the most time on.
Ooh.
You got an obsession with Titan AE. That's all I got to say.
Okay. I just said it was a decent movie compared to what other things were on the list.
That's true.
And then you just had to keep talking about it, so I had to keep talking about it.
Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, we enjoyed being on here, and we'd love to come back. So
absolutely, we'll get you back on. Again, go check them out, Dakota Boys Talk Movies. Go subscribe to them on all their services, and follow them on Facebook, and we'll definitely share that with the podcast as well from this episode. As for us, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, Backlot605. Find us on backlot605.com, and you can follow our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, and YouTube. And Brian, where can the people follow you online for your personal
For my personal random crap, you can find me on Instagram under LP Freak, and then Letterboxd under LP Freak Forever. A little behind on writing some stuff up, but I'm trying to get some stuff out there when I can.
Yeah. I've been enjoying you putting your Funko Pops up out in front. I think that's a fun thing to do.
Yeah. I got enough of them. Yeah,
show them off. For me, you can find me on Instagram, Casey_the horror guy, reviewing every horror movie that I watch. And yeah, that's about all I got for this episode. Again, Dakota, Stephen, thank you guys so much for joining us. I can't wait to do this again. This was a lot of fun.
Very much so.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Thank you.
It was an honor and a privilege. Thank
you. The privilege was all ours. And we're glad to have another Jay and Silent Bob here in South Dakota. I think that's the big standout. We got to have 2 of them here.
Yeah.
Well, there's another reference to Stephen being the skinny one and me being the fat one, I guess.
We'll just have one.
I got called skinny. I gotta write that down.
Just one will be the Jay and Bob. The other one will be the Blunt Man and Chronic.
Hey, they're both skinny now, so I don't know what we're talking about.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's one thing I actually did enjoy about Reboot is the fact that Kevin Smith had to rewrite all of the jokes into vegan jokes, or instead of lunchbox, he's juice box, that sort of thing. That was one of the best things I enjoyed about that, is him having to be like, all right, I have to rewrite all of my jokes.
Oh, he's vegan now? See, I didn't know.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know he went vegan. That's interesting.
Yeah. I guess we'll leave off with that. Go try out a
Yeah.
vegan diet next week, and we'll talk about a wet hot American summer on next week's episode. But again, thank you guys for listening, and we'll check you out next time on the Backlash in South Dakota.